The Pittsburgh Steelers are 2.5-point underdogs on the road week 10 against the Commanders. If you want to get in on the action in week 10, BetOnline.ag is the place to do it. Over-unders, players, props, and spreads. Get in on the football action today over at BetOnline.ag. BetOnline, the game starts here. Welcome into the Bleav in Steelers show. My name is Mark Bergin. We're keeping it in the Bleav family tonight. We've got a guest, host of the Bleav in Commanders podcast. Welcome in, Anthony Armstrong. Double A, good to see you. First time talking with you, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Man, appreciate you having me. I can appreciate the Steelers fan base. So anybody listening, I know what Permanente Brothers is. I've had some Permanente brothers. So we on good terms, man. We got some people on the staff over there that I'm good friends with. So I got some respect for the Steelers.
Yeah, they've got a sandwich named after Russell Wilson already after 2 games. I haven't had the chance to try it, but it looks like, oh man, I mean, your heart will start, the blood pressure just looking at the thing. It's a monstrosity, Double A.
Yeah, you got to work out just to make sure you can afford the calories, right? So it's all good. That's how it goes. Whatever gets you into the fitness routine, right? So to afford the Rust sandwich, you got to head and do some push-ups or something.
Yeah, I'm excited to chop it up with you tonight. We'll get into some of your memories from your NFL career as well, playing in Washington for a few years and everything. But we're going to start with the here and now, keep it at the quarterback position as well. I want to start out with this, like with the quarterbacks. Jayden Daniels, the big story. Like, are you already thinking your lucky stars that he fell to number 2 to the Commanders?
Man, yes, 100%. Yes, you're like, wow. I'm really glad that. I'm glad that there was Caleb Williams there. I'm glad that there were other quarterbacks that were in the mix to go to number 1 because Jayden Daniels has been everything that you could imagine, like better than. And I mean, I've went and talked to other people that have followed the team in LSU and even found a former teammate of mine who was with the staff in Arizona State. And they're like, this kid's just special. Everything about him, the way he approaches the game, the way he prepares. I mean, you hear it from vets, you hear it from coaches, you hear it from random strangers on the street. This guy's the truth. And to have that type of leader at that position in DC right now, it's big. It's a position of need, and it's the type of player that you need at that spot, a leader at that position.
All the Steelers fans are saying, oh, we're not worried because the comp I keep seeing is Lamar Jackson. He's not Lamar Jackson. And I'd argue, even as a rookie, that I think he's a better passer already.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say that. And I'm saying that about a 2-time MVP, but that's always the comp that I get from the Steelers standpoint is, oh, Lamar, we're going to be fine against Washington. It's like, I don't think that's a total apples to apples comparison.
No, 100%. I've compared him with Joe Burrow with the Lamar, type of skill set. I mean, the guy threw for 40 touchdowns and 4 picks. So he makes great decisions with his arm, but then he'll also run on you. He's done that plenty of times this season. He did it in college. Now, the good thing is, Washington has a little bit of PTSD about running quarterbacks, and especially against the team, the Ravens and teams in purple. So now you got the Steelers. So similar mindset. Hopefully Jayden gets down. I think he's starting to understand that now. But this guy will dot you up with his arm, and I think he wants to do it with his arm first. So that the Lamar Jackson comparison, that's a scapegoat. That's easy. And frankly, anybody that does it, I call them out. I say, look, guys, just because you have the similar skin tone, you don't have to just say it's Lamar Jackson. The guy can really throw the ball. It's not saying Lamar can't throw the ball, but the guy is a better passer than Lamar Jackson. It's not a problem to say that. It's not a problem at all. Lamar's had a pretty good career, and he's having a hell of a season right now. So for their names to be in the same breath, it's special, and it's something that you can't take lightly.
Yeah, and from the Steelers standpoint, it's like you go in against Baltimore, your division rival, having won 7 of 8. So that's the comp. Something I do expect to see is widened splits from the Steelers front. So I think TJ Watt's going to be even wider, not even just a 7, maybe even a 9 technique. Same with Alex Highsmith to keep those lanes. You know this, you lose contain, you lose the game. So you want to be able to keep him in the pocket because when he does get in the open field with that running ability, it can be scary.
Yeah, he can. He does a great job of attracting the defense before he escapes. Like he kind of, you could tell he's planning on getting out of the pocket But it's not like scattered. It's not rushed. It's not hurried. It's very calculated. Of like, okay, I know that I probably need to run here. Let me just let these guys, get a little tighter, and then I'm gonna escape out of here, and then I'm gonna go run for a first down. Then we'll get back and reset the clock. So he does a great job of just staying in positive down and distance, staying ahead of the chain, and not getting into those long third and longs like you used to have last year. They're staying out of those positions now.
Well, Washington did a great job this offseason, starting with the totally blank canvas. You went into the offseason with the most salary cap space of any team in the league, new ownership on down in the post Daniel Snyder era. So, new GM, new coach, and they've done a great job surrounding him in making things, I don't say easy, but when you're throwing and completing more than 70% of your passes as a rookie, clearly they're doing something right. And no one thought before the start of the season, oh, well, it was going to be Washington that had a better setup. It was, no, look at all the stud receivers that Chicago has and what they're doing with Caleb Williams. Well, plot twist into week 10, first half of the season, it's not just who's the top dog as a rookie. For me, I think that Jayden Daniels also belongs in that MVP conversation. There's a lot of season left, but for how he's played, you go into this game this weekend, two teams atop their divisions, and there's a few other good matchups this weekend. I happen to think, and I may be a bit biased, that this is the best matchup of any in the league this weekend because it's a real litmus test for both teams.
It really is. I mean, but 6-2, 7-2. Washington's 4-0 at home. Northwest Stadium is beginning to be home field advantage. I remember I played there 10, 12, 13 years ago. The Steelers showed up deep. It was black and yellow on the other side of the field. Like you could have heard Wiz Khalifa playing, just how many Steelers fans were there. And
Oh,
now the
yeah.
tide is turning, but the Steelers are 3-1 on the road. So something's got to give. Something has to give in this matchup. And I mean, I think the fans are going to represent up there in DC. They're going to be some go-go music playing. They're going to be dancing. They're going to have some vibes rocking in the stadium.
Anthony, I don't know what it is about the Steelers fan, but it's like always take whatever game it is away and turn it into a home field advantage. It's true, and you know because you see the terrible towels in the crowd just wherever the Steelers are playing. Steelers Nation travels.
You gotta respect that, man. And this is the thing. There's certain fan bases, having just played in a few leagues, a few games, I should say, around the league. And the Steelers fan base is one that you respect. The Raiders, when you're in there and you're looking at the black hole, like that's one of those, just vaunted fan bases that you respect. So, you don't downplay going against the Steelers. Like it's a part of history. It's a part of NFL history to go against that team.
Let me ask you about your playing days, and we'll get back to the here and now in a second. But I don't mean to bring up a sore subject, but I know the one time I was looking at your game logs in your career, you played the Steelers. It was the last game of your NFL career. What I wanted to ask is, what do you remember about the preparation in advance of that game, of what to expect, how you prepare for Pittsburgh Steelers football?
Man, you prepare for physicality. Like that's one thing that from way back in the 70s, back when they were clotheslining cats, like that's just something that they do. It's physical. It's going to be a game that you're going to see a 3-4. You got to be on your P's and Q's when it comes down to hot routes and who's blitzing. And you're definitely on your game when you're playing the Steelers. Like it's one of those ones that it's going to be a bruising, just a battle, just a backyard fight. No gloves, just out there playing football. I remember playing against the Steelers and just it's just you have so much respect for Mike Tomlin and that organization. Like I always use the Steelers. Me think about it, Washington's been an organization in turmoil for years, and I've said, guys, I would love to be like the Steelers. Like sure, 8-8 for forever, but 8-8 is better than 4-15 or 4-12 or whatever Washington's been for so long. So they're a storied organization. I'm a big fan of just like the NFL and the history of it all. So you definitely remember playing against the storied franchises.
Hey, so you're packing two chin straps, is what it sounds like to me.
And the mouthpiece too. And the mouthpiece. You definitely wear yours when you're playing against the Steelers. I mean, there was a little what? Who did I cross paths with when y'all had over there at safety? Was Ryan Clark over there? Maybe a little bit of Troy Polamalu. Like I was recently looking at some old tape, and I was like, I played a game against Randy Moss. I'm like, why didn't I get a picture with Randy Moss? Like, what the hell was I thinking? I'm out here trying to compete, but I should have got a picture with this dude. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like whenever I go back and I look at the Steelers tape, I'll be like, wow, I shared the field with some guy. Hell, I did share the field with a former Steeler. I was locker neighbors with Joey Porter in Miami.
What was
So
that like?
man, Joey is a really cool dude. He would spend at the end of the week probably a good hour and a half signing just stacks and stacks of fan mail. So it was my locker and then an empty locker where they would stick all the fan mail, and then his locker was after that. And I remember like my first, the first after training camp, I had made the practice squad roster, and I'm sitting there and he's sitting there signing autographs, his jerseys, pictures, helmets, whatever people had sent. And it was cool to see him do that. You know what I mean? And my first league experience, I was an older player at the time, but I didn't know how the league was, and to see how down to earth Joey was. And he's like, "Oh yeah, man, yeah, you need anything, man? Oh yeah, go get you some food." He got that raspy voice. He's like, "Yeah, man, you can use a car. Go ahead." You're like, "Oh, I'm gonna borrow your Escalade and run to Wendy's right quick." Like, all right, cool. So yeah, it was a cool experience, man. Definitely
Yeah.
personable, and now full circle, his son is suiting up. So that's kind of wild. It makes me feel old. Like I didn't see his son like when I was in Miami, but it's just kind of crazy to think like, man, I shared a locker room with your dad.
Yeah, I was there last year when he had I don't know if it was his very first, it might have been his first career interception, a game against the Ravens where it was like Lamar's got the ball in the red zone and it's like his interception helped spur the Steelers comeback. And if not for that play, it's like it's crazy. It makes me feel old because I remember watching Joey Porter. I remember playing with him in Madden
Yeah,
too. So
yeah.
it's
I feel like
uh,
it's only right that they drafted his son. Like I don't
oh
feel like
yeah.
it would have
Oh
made
yeah.
sense for him to go anywhere else. Like you got to make him a Steeler. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was Cowher's guy too, and in the locker room, like, did you get to experience any of that? Just like his leadership to galvanize a locker room, because he was like the key defensive player on that '05 Super Bowl team.
Yeah, he was. I mean, practice squad. I didn't get to go to the games, but he was always giving the speeches and the pregame speeches. And I know there was that year that they played in Kansas City, and it was super frigid. And other guys were following Joey's lead, going out pregame with no shirt and stuff. One guy came back, damn near had pneumonia. So I was like, "See, you should have kept your shirt on, but you came back, damn near died,
Hey,
trying to
name
be like
names, name
Joey."
names.
Hey, well, I shoot Chike. I can't think of his last name, man. If he played O lineman, man, I can't think of his last name, how to spell it at least. But yeah, he came out there. They had a video of it. He come out pregame, no shirt. Then at halftime, he's next to that daggum that flamethrower on the sideline, trying to stay warm. He in the back of the meeting room sniffling because he got a cold coming from Kansas City. We got the W that year, so that was the year. That was a Wildcat season.
What
That
it
was the
used to be
Wildcat season.
was the Vaseline on the arms. Oh, is that with like Ronnie Brown and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like that's the stuff I look back. I'm like, man, Ronnie Brown, Ricky Williams, like that's pretty cool. I was my football career. I say this all the time. My football career feels like I won. I almost feel like Charlie from the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Sometimes, like I won a golden ticket, and it's like, hey, you get to go play football, and I'm like, oh snap, like for real. I'm like, okay, I better make the most of this before y'all y'all figure me out.
No, no. When you were coming out of West Texas A&M, undrafted in '05, what was your? I always see this on podcasts. What was your welcome to the NFL moment?
Man, my welcome to the NFL moment wasn't until 3 years later because I played Arena League in Odessa, Texas for a season. And then I played 2 seasons for the Arena Football League with the Dallas Desperados. And so when Parcells and that whole crew, Sperano and all of them went down to Miami, that's when I finally got my chance down there. My welcome to the NFL moment was the first day of training camp where I ran up to a safety dude named Courtney Bryan. And everybody was just, you get on your assignment and then you go back to the huddle and we just run through these plays pre-practice. Man, this dude dropped his shoulder into my chest and I was looking up at the South Florida sun for about 3 seconds. And then I was like, I woke up and I was like, okay. Like I wasn't knocked out, but it was just like, damn, I'm on the ground. And I'm like, I just got here. Like, this ain't gonna be it. I need to speed up because this is the league, right? They will fire me tomorrow. So I quickly realized what it was like to be in the league at that moment right there.
Hey, that's called going right from the frying pan right into the fire. Just
Straight into it.
man. Man, let me bring this back to the here and now because I could talk to you about all of these guys and stories till sun up. Um, One matchup I'm looking forward to this weekend, talking quarterbacks earlier, Russell Wilson going up against his former teammate, Bobby Wagner.
Ooh.
From what I've seen in the conversations I've had, it's been Bobby Wagner with this defense. And it's been Frankie Luvu, which doesn't surprise me considering Dan Quinn's a defensive head coach where it's like, oh, you don't want the future Hall of Famer. Carolina, you don't want who's probably your best defensive player. Come on to Washington, we'll take him. And those are the two guys from Pittsburgh standpoint that I'm looking at where it's like, hey, know where both of those guys are on the field. And the chess match between Russ and his former teammate when they were doing their thing in Seattle is one of the big things that I'm going to be looking at come Sunday's game.
Yeah, you definitely got to feel the impact of Bobby Wagner and Frankie Luvu. I mean, coming into this, eh, you- Adam Peters did an amazing job with the draft and free agency. Like, there was a whole grocery list of like, we need all this. Are you sure you can get it in one trip? And damn it, he did it. He
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, okay. And like these things are starting to hit. But yeah, Bobby Wagner and Frankie Luvu have been such a clutch additions. I mean, Wagner, you know who he is as a leader, right? You needed that type of person on that defense. Close the door behind the coaches. Say, hey, we're going to get this thing fixed and get it fixed right now before we get into this next game. So that's what Bobby Wagner brings. Luvu brings that energy, and now that the way that the defensive line is getting shifted around, Johnny Newton is somebody that you got to keep your eye on the front because he's so disruptive. He frees up Frankie Luvu, and it gets a lot of one-on-one matchups. So I'm looking for this defense to continue to grow. And the recent addition of Marshon Lattimore, I don't know if he's going to play in this game. He was kind of nursing a hamstring. But if he doesn't play this game, his addition just for this defense moving forward should be an astronomical, addition. I mean, if he could play this week, I would love for him to follow George Pickens everywhere because that guy
Yeah.
scares me. I like George Pickens. He's an awkward little dude. Like he does some funny stuff on the field where you're like, what the hell was that? But he makes plays all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. His connection with Russ has been awesome to see through 2 games now. But, and this is, I'm going to let you in on a secret. My bit of trepidation is you just beat up on 2 New York football teams that aren't very good. Like, I like seeing 30 plus points, AA. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
But I just want to see a bigger sample size before it's like we just, I love seeing Russ cook and everything. I like throwing the ball down the field. But with Lattimore, it's like, to me, Commanders are buyers at the deadline. And what's the great elixir? How can we find the fountain of youth and get back to full health? I just have a feeling, I don't know if it'll be this week, but you go from a 2-7 team to a 7-2 team. Like, I'm good to go now. I'm
Gotta
ready.
be
I'm
feeling
healthy.
good. Hell yeah, that hamstring is really good now, right? But I
Yeah.
mean, I look at his addition, and you going ahead 2 games against Philly that are there, 2 games against Dallas that are there. Marshon Lattimore is going to be busy, and my favorite part about him is that he's a dog. They asked him what he brings to the defense. He says, "A dog. I'm a dog. I'm about that. I'm on the lineup." Like he fought. Somebody tweeted he fought Mike Evans every single time they played, every single game. You don't think he's not gonna fight AJ Brown? He's not gonna fight CD Lamb? Like that's gonna go down. And that once again, that's an attitude position. And frankly, you get to skip the line when you get a veteran like that too. He's still young enough where he's got some spring in his step, but he's seen so much. I mean, when you tell you got somebody that's played against Julio Jones, DJ Moore, and Mike Evans over the last 8 years, oh yeah, come on, you know what you're doing. You're good.
In
He's
the
already
NFC
coaching everybody
South,
else
yeah.
up.
I mean, Mike Evans is as consistent receiver as there is in the league. And there's never really been a season where it's like, oh my gosh, Mike Evans is the top receiver, but top 5 consistently. And then you look at how all of his yardage has compounded at this point. He's probably a Hall of Fame player.
Gotta be.
Like, so you go up against that each and every year, 4-time Pro Bowler. To me, that signals the Commanders are trying to go all in. And even with Jayden Daniels as a rookie to say, hey, we're going to go for this and go for a run. And right now they're atop the NFC East. Like, that's the team to me where maybe Philly. I don't know if they've quite figured things out. Sirianni,
Yeah.
Dallas. Nah, to me, it's Washington. It's Washington this year. They're been one of the biggest surprises in the league. And again, it goes back to a lot of what Jayden Daniels has done. But again, I'm not going to look past Dan Quinn, his previous stops, where he's had success defensively in just molding this roster the way that they have. That was a blank canvas. And heading into week 10,
Yeah.
you've created quite the portrait. It's
Yeah.
just, it's the truth.
It
It's the
is.
truth.
It's looking good. I mean, even just the whole coaching staff, up and down, former head coaches, so much experience, and I think everybody is in a humble enough position where they've been at the highest high, like former head coaches, almost head coaches, and now they're quote unquote being humbled and brought back down to where they're probably most natural best at coaching their position. And they get to do it with passion, and they can lean up and say, "Oh yeah, hey, I remember whenever I was in this position. Let me give my input on it." And everybody right now is moving and rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, we mentioned the addition of Lattimore to the Commanders. Steelers get Mike Williams on deadline day this past Tuesday as well, and they needed somebody to complement George Pickens. We were talking about playing Madden earlier. It's like if we're playing Madden, and this is no knock on the other guys on the Steelers roster, but there's no one that strikes fear in your heart outside of George Pickens at the receiver position. And to me, the hope would be with Williams, who really becomes the third receiver behind Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams in New York.
Mhm.
He's in the final year of his deal, still a young player, but then you can't just bracket and target and put a safety over the top, or maybe even three guys on George Pickens, to where if you do that, you've got someone on the outside and Mike Williams, hopefully, that can eat and win in his one-on-one matchups.
Yeah, and until Lattimore lines up, the secondary is still going to be a question
Mm.
until they just line up. And it's not like I said, not disrespect. It's just say, hey guys, you're still the quote unquote weak point on the defense until you prove it otherwise. So I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. Is it going to be a Benjamin St. Juice? But Mikey Sainristil has done a great job of stepping up, and with the size is what's going to be a matchup issue for Sainristil going up against either a Williams or a George Pickens. So I know when Russ gets to feeling good and has a connection with a receiver, he tends to give that guy a lot of options to make some plays. So, ideally, hey, they got some good tape to watch, and they can make it tough on Russ, and then hopefully George don't get to acting a fool out there. Because I know he will. He'll catch something crazy, some crazy one-handed back bend. Like, I don't know how he does it, man. He's a special player, man.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching him play.
He, maybe more than any other guy in the league, has so many big plays that have gotten called back or don't quite count, or 1 foot out, or there's a penalty, or it's just
Yeah.
like, we're right there. We're right
Yeah.
there. And
What what is the thought of him in the city? Like, I get to experience it from outside. Like, what are the thoughts about him from Steelers standpoint?
the talent is there. The question is, it's like kind of at a crossroads right now, to where when there's the clips of him not putting forth any effort, and I'm talking
Hmm.
about like not blocking for his teammates, it's like, are we talking about a Chase Claypool situation? Are we talking about the guy who could pick up the mantle of when AB was doing his thing for that 5 or 6 year stretch? I think he has that ability. And like for me, I'm looking at, okay, you're in year 3 now. You get into your 4th year of your rookie deal. He was a 2nd-round pick, so final year of his rookie deal. Are you going to want to pay a premium, not just for him, but I look at the receiver position as a whole in the league. The ability is there. And I also think that when you put on the black and gold, it's like putting on the Superman cape. Like, I don't know what it does to players if they have an out of body experience, but that to me is what that's like. So I think he is well liked when he makes plays, because even when he gets benched for shenanigans that he's doing, this offense doesn't function in the same way. You've got to have him performing at a high clip. And that to me, since Wilson has been on the field, has been the biggest differentiator between Fields, who I thought played well, and Wilson. It's as simple as, hey, get the ball in the hands of your best offensive playmaker.
Yeah, I could see that. All the talent to me. It is going to be. Uh, can somebody get him to just, hey, focus in? Like, bro, you're great. You can be great. We just need you to lock in. Like, cut the other stuff out. Just ball. Just focus on ball, and you can take over the league. So that my
Yeah.
quick thought on it is that he could be somebody that's just extremely dangerous. Would love to work with him, but you know,
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned the DBs, Sainristil out of Michigan. We love that guy. And I know he played more offense in college than defense. Now he's playing DB in the NFL, but like he was the mighty mouse. He was like the guy on that national championship team. And we loved him coming out of the draft where it was just like you pop on the tape and he plays bigger than what his size is listed at if you just look at, say, height and weight.
mhm. Yeah, Sainristil is one of those chess pieces. He's one of those guys that deemed as one of a commander player. Like they gave this gold helmet designation to the type of player that they wanted to bring in, and he fits that bill. A leader, smart, heady, tough, just all the things that you need. And it was great to see him just transition to an outside corner role where it was initially thinking he was going to operate in that slot. And then past few games, he's been going up against number one, top talent at receiver and hadn't backed down. I've loved the way that he steps up. He accepts those challenges, and it takes those things to help turn a roster and help make that standard to get raised. So you bring in a winner like that, that's going to help move this move this team in the right direction. He's a former
Yeah.
captain, so he
Yep.
knows how to lead.
Yep.
And to have that from a youth standpoint, and then get to follow behind like a Bobby Wagner, like it's going to just build that culture. It's going to be like a beautiful gumbo, just a good roux that's been stewing. You know what I mean? It's like,
Save me a
whew,
bowl. Save me a bowl,
exactly,
Anthony.
exactly.
Maybe two.
Yes, 100%. I got you. I got you. I got
Oh,
crackers and everything. We'll be good.
so you get a pellet cleanser with the crackers too. A good gumbo, the best, the
Gotta
absolute
love
best.
it.
I got two more things for you here, really quickly, and we'll wrap. I know the Commanders been using a kind of a running back by committee. I know Brian Robinson Jr.'s got the hamstring injury. Are you expecting just kind of whoever's got the hot hands approach come Sunday against Pittsburgh?
Man, I would like to see Brian Robinson out there. I feel like you need his physicality. The way that he
Yeah,
runs and gets behind his pads is something that, like I mentioned earlier, you got to bring your lunch pail when you're playing the Steelers. Don't get in there thinking it's going to be cute. Right? It's going to be nasty. It's ugly. You're going to get a black eye. So I need Brian Robinson out there. Now, I was impressed with Chris Rodriguez last week. The way he finished the game, had some good, strong runs. He's going to be wearing a new number now because he gave 23 away. But I would love to see interested to see if he's going to get a few more reps to take a couple of reps away from Brian, from B Rob. So that's how I would see it playing out. But I think you still got to have Brian Robinson out there. If you line up with just Austin Eckler, no shade, but if you just line up with Eckler, in my mind, if I'm on defense, I'm thinking screens. I'm thinking a different offensive mentality. If I look back there and I see Brian Robinson, I'm like, I need to buckle up twice, put my mouthpiece in, and get some smelling salt because it's finna be a battle. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's my thought
yeah.
process. So you gotta get your big bull back there with Brian Robinson. At least make them think about that run, and don't let TJ Watt take over this game.
Yeah, the A gap, B gap game. And that's where Cam Hayward's been so good for so many years for the Steelers. It starts from the foundation up front in his mid 30s, still playing at a really high level. But that's the one thing that makes me a little bit nervous with this defense is teams have been able to run the ball against them. Now, when you get a lead or it's late in the game and it's a one-score game and TJ Watt and company could pin their ears back, knowing that you have to pass the football, that's probably the biggest key for me when you're talking Commanders offense against Steelers defense is going to be the turnovers. And
Yeah.
that's something the Steelers have been so good at. And it's the reason, we look at BetOnline.ag, the presenting sponsor of the show. It's the reason why TJ Watt is right now the favorite to win NFL Defensive Player of the Year. So that's what I'm looking at come Sunday, Double A.
Man, he's so dominating, and he's one of those guys you circle 3 times, highlighter, Sharpie, and another marker after that to say, pay attention to where 90 is, because he will ruin your Christmas. I mean, he will ruin your Christmas, take your stockings, take your presents, and then go and scurry back up the chimney, right? Like that's what TJ Watt can do to you. The one thing that I love that Cliff Kingsbury is doing with this Washington offense is that they go no huddle. And when you are going no huddle, it generally forces the defense to play a little bit more vanilla. So I don't think you're going to catch TJ jumping around as much, knowing that the defense or the offense is already lining up. They can't get a whole lot of calls in there. So I'm hoping that that's going to take some of that fire away. But if you fight off turnovers, and there's only 3 for Washington so far. If they can keep the turnovers low and keep the possessions on their side, it's going to give them the best chance. But yeah, don't let TJ take over.
3 for the whole season.
Yeah, they only have 3 so far. That's the least amount since 1933. None of us was here. None of us were alive.
You're saving the best for last.
Hey, I'm just saying, we got some good things going in Washington. It's like we haven't had as much good news happen over there in so long, and now it's plentiful. It feels weird. Like, wow, did you hear about that? Like, no, I didn't hear about that. Wow, they're doing a really good job. So, I don't know, man. The tides are turning, man. The NFC East has reset, and Washington's up at the top.
One question I have for you with Watt, they always line him up over opposing right tackles. Why don't more teams do this, considering that most quarterbacks are right-handed?
I've thought about that, and there is a point of it was like, well, if they're going to put their best, like if I have Trent Williams over there, I don't want to go over there. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to work against this other guy who's generally not as good of a pass rusher. So, I think some of that just comes with whatever that player gets skilled, it grows their skills as. Like Aiden Hutchinson spends time on that same side, right? Myles Garrett flips sides, but he'll spend a lot of time on that right tackle point. Yeah, it would make sense to spend some more time over there, but sometimes I feel like some of the coaches get a little caught in their old ways, and they're just like used to having your best pass rusher be over there on the left side. I'll give you a quick example. Mike Zimmer in Dallas. You've got premier Micah Parsons. Now, why all of a sudden can he not get to the quarterback? I don't think it's a lesser player. I think he's got different schemes. Dan Quinn does a hell of a job of scheming you up to get you in positions that are going to make you more favorable. I think Mike Zimmer is more of, you're our best pass rusher. You got one-on-one. You just beat the guy that's across from you. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's kind of a different way to play things out. So I don't know. Maybe you need to rush Mike on the right side, but we're focusing on TJ this week.
Yeah. You got to know where 90 is, and Alex Highsmith pretty good too. Opposite
he is.
That duo, man. It's let's race to the quarterback. It's one of my favorite things to watch, of just how they're flying off the edge and then how they play off each other. It's just a treat.
Yeah, no, they're dangerous. They're gonna cause a fit because the rookie over there, Brandon Coleman. I think he just played the whole game last game. So now I know he's going to get some TJ Watt action. Andrew Wiley's going to get some TJ Watt action, and Highsmith. So they're going to be flip-flopping. And if they can make it a game, I don't like to think about it. You're not going to ruin my evening, man. You're not going to ruin my evening having nightmares about black and gold.
Anyone needs help. Just, I would say, don't put them on an island to where have a chip, have a tight end, have a running back, maybe
that
both.
Will be there.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, you saw it against Washington. I know we were going long here. We're supposed to be getting off of this thing. Against New York, everybody chipped. Everybody was chipping. Receivers were chipping, running backs chipped, tight ends chipped. So trust me, there's going to be plenty of chip over there for TJ Watt coming up on Sunday.
All right. Speaking of chips, I know you were at the craps table before this. Bleav in Commanders. If there's anything you need to plug, this has been terrific.
Man, y'all check us out at Bleav Commanders. Follow the show. Y'all can come over there too. Listen to me. You don't have to be a Commanders fan to get some of this action, because I got a Philly fan that listens. All right, I got a Philly fan that tunes in because he likes what I'm talking about. But check us out at Rated Armstrong is the handle on all your social platforms as well. So come give us a listen.
Yeah, check that out with Brian Murphy as well. Mark Bergin. If you enjoyed listening to Bleav in Steelers, go leave a 5-star review, Apple and Spotify. On YouTube, if you haven't already, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and hit that subscribe button. I'll be live on this feed after Sunday's game between Steelers and Commanders. My name is Mark Bergin. Enjoy the game. I'll see you Sunday. Until then, take care, and so long, everybody.